with all the different fills, the way they happen, just one trade on one position, let alone two or three, just one trade can have like 20 uh, orders in the history. So it can be a little bit of a pain in the ass to go back and track, but I think from what I can feel, about 35%, so just probably a little over a third of these trades do not end profitably, but most of them do. But I could be upside down in that. I'd have to go back to double check, but I'm pretty good about trying to be um, objective about that and be pretty objective about that. So like for instance, but see, I'd have to go back just in the last few days, I've had 987 orders and 1,155 fills. So, you know, it's a lot to track, but I'm copy and pasting, every trade that works out, but there's a couple of trades that didn't work out, but there hasn't been so many. It's been profitable and the win rate is up there, probably about 2 to 1. I think it's about 66% workout and 33% do not. It's something around there. But yeah, you do gotta be careful. It's real. For me, it's real money. And you guys playing around with this, you can use paper trading to learn this stuff. But yeah, today we're watching AKTS, BNED, and MGOL is still doing stuff from yesterday, although it's pretty much bleeding out. And then remember BDRX from yesterday and the day before. It had a shelf offering, so it went from 250 to $1 about 20 minutes ago. And that, my friends, is the danger of getting into things that have registered shelf offerings. I posted about the shelf offerings yesterday, so you guys could learn a little bit more about that. But did anybody not learn what that was? Or how that works? What's the danger there? Just say put a question mark if you want to know more about like what happens when there's shelf offerings and the absolute dangers of that. Could not follow in the thing that I wrote, Randy. I could make heads or tails out of it. Okay. So let's say you have a million shares on a company. Let's say a company has a million shares. And now they want to raise some money. And the stock's doing really well, but everybody already owns the shares. There's no more float left. So they can't really raise money unless they dilute the shares. So you can now offer, for example, it would be really terrible, but you could offer a million shares again. You could offer a million shares up for sale. It's like an IPO. It's like, hey, let's create fresh new shares to give everyone. It sounds good in principle, just like, printing money sounds good, until you're Venezuela, right? But like, so if you offer a million shares on something that has a million shares, the price goes down on the stock by half because you diluted the total number of shares. But the company can now, raise money. People buy their shares. The company owns the shares. They create them and they publicly offer them. So what are they doing? They're selling them. So it's like the company saying, we're going to sell 1 million shares and they're new. So they instantly dilute everything and they make the price of the stock go down. And then secondly, they just have that pressure of selling pressure. So like every spike that goes up, they have, an assigned trader desk or team of traders at some firm that they've hired, at Morgan Stanley or wherever it is, who will trade those shares into the market at beneficial, nice price spikes. So every time the price of the stock underlying goes up, the company comes in and and pushes and just absorbs that spike. Whatever, like however much volume was in the last, that whole run up, whatever it was, they just go and they just gobble it up. And that's how they get the money. They offer and unload those shares. And it's called what did I say the other day? Takeover. It's called a takeover. I mean, no, it's not called, is it called a takeover? It's not an actual takeover, okay. But let me see what it's called again. Is that the word? Sorry. It's called a takedown. A takedown. Whenever those shares are sold at those moments, at any time in the future. So they can register a shelf offering. And then once they've done so, it's legal for them to sell at any moment in the next years, any moment they wish, any second. They can sell any amount of those shares they put in that shelf offering filing, which is an intent to offer shares, which means offer means sell. It's an intent to sell shares. And so, but they're new shares, so it automatically dilutes as well. And it's just hanging there like like an axe over the stock price, right? And you see biotech does this like habitually, and they're just constantly diluting. And so, so no, no, they sell into the no, the offering is the new shares, and they're not existing. They're new. So you've got that inside out, Randy. um, so they create new shares. They're not existing. And then at any time in the future, years, days, weeks, months, at multiple occasions, however they so choose, they can sell them. And they ideally would want to sell them at higher at as high of a price as possible. So whenever the stock is doing well, then they come in there and they just hammer it down and they just go ahead and flip it back over uh, and sell into it like that. And then they in turn receive the money from the people who are buying their shares off the bottom of them selling it off the top. Bid ask. Okay. So and everyone's buying that on the way down and they're selling it on the way down and they get an average of a decent price off of a recent spike like that. So anyway, a shelf offering, so the long and short of it is a shelf offering is the company saying, hey, we want to sell a fucking millions of shares. We want to make some money. We're going to sell. We're going to sell a bunch of shares into you guys. And you can go look up those filings and see if those exist. Very important for you to do so whenever you're going to trade these day trading these types of stocks. Okay. And you can see that there's one existing. And if there is, then you can be sure that every time it spikes and then you see those big red drops, and it comes back down and it's like, God damn, I can't make any progress on this thing. It's because their trading desk at, Morgan Stanley, Fidelity, whoever handled their offering is in charge of unloading those shares over the next, or what instructions they gave them. So that's it. It's an intent to sell into the stock prices, and it's just hanging there as like this axe just waiting to happen. And you can absolutely see that. Like on MGOL, how it just keeps getting hammered down. MGOL down there. It likely has a shelf offering going on. And then with BNED, no, was it not BNED, BXRD, that big drop. Where is it? No, that's what was it? BRXT? Shit, what was the name of that? What was the ticker on that? I got it here. BDRX. So right here, this drop, it could be that. But in this case, it happened to be warrants, which is the same thing. It's just another way. So it says, they announced they're exercising $7 million of warrants, which means they're doing the same thing. They're selling, they're converting warrants into stock shares and selling them in for $7 million. And so that $7 million caused a drop from 230 to 1. So that was not an existing shelf offering, but there were the warrants already existing. So you should have known if there's warrants existing or shelf offering existing, there you go. But the other thing to think about is, does this company, whatever you're trading, have a history of exercising warrants, doing the shelf offering, anything like that? Do they have a history of doing that? And if so, how often? And you'll find that biotechs do it habitually. Like they have no reason why not to. Like they can have 1 trillion shares outstanding, like out there, and then they'll offer up 100 million every month. They'll have a new offering of 100 million shares. They just keep sucking your money, and that's why they're like penny stocks, and the biotech stocks are like, are like that. They just habitually do that. So that's how that works. Whoever didn't know that, maybe Justin, Marcus, Mark, Bob, I don't know, and Randy, hopefully that helps. But yeah, we don't want BDRX and MGOL, and you can see that in the stocks. You can see it in the intraday charts. You can see the ones that have those things going on there. All right, so the market opens in 1 minute, and we are elevated at all-time high levels across the market. And yesterday was a power trend on moment and IBD style. So over the next 6 days, money is going to be flowing into the market even more. This is an absolutely huge, strong moment in the market, regardless of if we go down today or the next few days or whatever it will be. Let's see, 100, 150, and over here. Yeah, okay. I still am in like all three of these names: MGOL, AKTS, and BNED, but in a smaller way. Oh no, I'm not in MGOL. Thank God. It doesn't look very good either. But we've got 10 seconds till the market opens. And I have to worry about GCT this morning. Apparently it is something happened there. Got an upgrade from Morgan Stanley, and it looks like it wants to sell off. See, what is that going to do to the options pricings on it? Yep, it's below 100% now. Let's see if it can get absorbed and cushion by the theta in a few minutes here. Yeah, I want to watch my day trade holdings right here, right after the open on BNED. Excuse me, and Okay, BNet. Okay, I'm gonna just flatten that. It's going the wrong way fast. And same thing with AKTS. All right. So I'm gonna wait till after 10 a.m. probably on those. And so we'll let those play out. All right, now off of the open in swing trading land, we've got about, it's a little bit of a mixed result. Let's see, what time is it here? We're already 1 minute in, all right? 1 minute opening candle has occurred. Dairy Queen, or what is DQ? Dairy Queen is possibly up a lot. And JKS, that's a solar company, I think. DQ, and see, GCT is up, is back to minus 80%. So excellent. DQ. Oh, DACO, New Energy Corporation. Okay, no, that's not even liquid enough, but they are up this morning. JKS, Solar Holding Company. Nothing too statistically relevant there. Let's take a look at ARM. I'm in ARM, and it is up 1.5% off the open. Right, yeah, ARM is doing good. Cell H is at 100% max profit. Let's see if I can close that out. Yeah, I've got that order in. Dell is the same. I'm just gonna put all these orders in. They look like this. Dell, very elevated. And what was the other one? I don't remember right now. The hell was that? Cell H. Yeah, look at that. Just cut right on through the put credit spread. All right, let's see what's up strong this morning. What might be down strong? I have to be concerned about. No, not really. Maybe Moderna. What's going on over there? Oh, because I have a call credit spread on that. No, we'll just let that gestate a little more today. All right. I wanted to see was NVIDIA. NVIDIA earnings after hours today. And so there'll potentially be some Vega increase here, which could diminish your NVIDIA options that you're selling. But at the same time, the theta, this should be increasing a lot. At this point, I've got the 800 on NVIDIA, and the expected move on NVIDIA is 75 points. And it's at 952. So maybe it gets to 850 in after hours on the earnings move. And I have some safety in potentially holding through here, but I probably just don't need to risk it. I'm at 75% max profit already. Yeah. Yeah. So that's my me talking through the trade a little bit there. I'm gonna at least try and close out. I got 2 contracts that I'm gonna at least try to close out one of those. See what happens. I'll just put it out there. And just be out there for a little while. KLAC looks like it's doing good. Yes. We're at 42% max profit on KLAC. Heart, some mispricings. Feel on that. My cart is sort of showing that it's at max profit already. All right, what do we got? Else do we got off the open here? First Solar, Cell H, Beely. That's a new one. Beely. Okay, so because this is Chinese stock, I think it is. maybe it's Indian, but it's foreign market anyway. That's why you get these gaps everywhere. There's just gaps everywhere. That's because it mostly trades in their market time. And so by the time it opens for us, it's at a totally different spot. And then we move on our market and then it closes and then it moves in their market. So that's why you get all these like little spaces everywhere. You can instantly identify a foreign stock like that way. And anyway, it's got earnings tomorrow. So no, we're not going to touch that. Moderna is flying up. Okay. And FSLR, excuse me. Oh, I'm at 95%. Like, look at FSLR. What a beautiful move. Did anybody get in that yesterday? Because we were talking about how I got in like 3 weeks ago, which I did over here. But yesterday it started to move up. I said, this is, if you're not in it, you still can be in it. And today it just keeps going. Anyway, I'm at max profit on that. I'm going to put that order in to close that out right now. Pretty hot stock. I'll probably get that fill today. NVIDIA, app, Kava. Still trying to get out of Kava. Earnings in just a couple of days. But he needs to fill my for here. Moderna for solar cell H, Beely, CART, ENPH. We're in all of these. Monday, I think options, it's a beautiful stock. And we went ahead and drew the put credit spread, what it could have been. But the options are just too illiquid to really just risk it. However, at this point, yeah, you would probably be at around 90% max profit. Beautiful move. It's just how to get out. Yeah, Beely's a Chinese media company, right? That makes sense. It's sort of like a MP3. Used to be an MP3 company. God, remember MP3 and remember who remembers Napster? Or there was LimeWire. What were some of those early file sharing companies? Boy, that was a time, when I was really young, I think nine, 9 or 10, the Amiga came out. Yeah, Justin, the Amiga. What did I have? Amiga 500. I got an Amiga 500. I had a lot of computers. It was a fun time. I got the Amiga 500. I had the Atari 1040 ST. I had the Commodore 64. I had all that shit. Thank God. Um, anyway, so Amiga 500. So I got this Amiga 500, and it was 3.5 discs, 3.5-inch discs, and which were got to a pretty good place at that point. By the time the Amiga 500 came out, 3.5-inch discs were in cases, and everything was pretty nice about them. So anyway, this guy who was a kid, I think it was like 18, 19, 20, for $200 sold me like all existing software on 3.5-inch disc, like everything there was. It was like just rows and rows and rows of I had everything, for like $200. And but we found out later, like I think it was about 9 months later, that he was arrested by the feds, and that they got him for piracy, software piracy. I guess somebody turned him in. Poor guy. But that was like a thing, I mean, that was before file sharing. That was like, if you wanted to do file sharing and copying and all that and get a bootlegged copy of something, somebody had to do it for you. Yeah. All right, let's see here. GCT, NVO, GCT, which way you want to go? Let's see. Loaded on your Rio MP3 player. I totally remember the Rio, yeah. Recording cassettes. The radio, yeah, you could do that. Yep. I mean, I don't know how I wonder if they made the size that way, but you remember a pencil, with the hexagonal frame of a pencil would perfectly go into a cassette tape. and you could loosen or tighten the cassette tape. I mean, those were the days where, you could be an audiophile for real. Dean Ed with the reclaim, AKTS broke pre-market highs, made a move. Beanhead making a very fast reclaim. Justin says, did it all the time when it would get jammed in my crappy tape deck. Every tape deck was crappy. And then you remember suddenly Japanese created something called logic control. And so that you had, what would be the word? Instead of mechanical cassette buttons, so if you pushed play, it would actually push mechanically. If you push the play button on a cassette machine, it would mechanically, physically push the playhead mechanically to the tape cassette stream, the magnetic tape. It would push it over there by the force of your finger pushing down a lever called the play button, right? And then if you pressed rewind, there was a time where it wouldn't stop, or you couldn't press rewind because you had to push stop first. And then there was a point where you could push rewind and it would go, you know what I mean? And then when you were fast forward, and so you didn't have to push stop. So people like that. That was like an evolutionary step forward. Then you could push rewind and it would, the stop button would, the play button would flick up and then it would rewind, or fast forward, right? And then the Japanese created electrical buttons. And then so the mechanism was between electrical push buttons that sent a signal to a control chip, and then there was an intermediary control chip, and the control chip would then trigger the mechanical action, which would robotically, push the playhead up or do whatever it needed to do, rewind, fast forward. It would electronically do that. So that would be called electronic buttons. And so then the buttons you didn't have to push them with force or anything anymore. They could just be touched and they would do it, right? And then so very quickly after that, they then created logic control, which meant that it was so obvious that if you pushed play and if you were rewinding and you pushed play in the old days before electronic logic control, your tape cassette would get fucking scrunched up in the machine because it was rewinding at full speed. And then you push play and it goes, and it would just get all fucked up, and you have to pop it open, you have to rip the cassette out, and then you're trying to tighten it up with a pencil and get it back into cassette form and everything, and it's folded and bent, and it never really ripped. You were lucky on that, unless it left in the sun too long and it got crispy. Well, there's all these physical interesting things about back then. So that, but now, and then with the logic control, they said, hey, if you're rewinding, so this was logical. If you're rewinding and someone pushes play, our brain, that's the intermediary, before it sends this mechanical signal to play, let's stop first. So it's rewinding, and then if you push play, it would stop and then play, which was amazing. And then you had logic control all of a sudden. Yeah, so these were the days, man. The progress was staggeringly, I think 1981, we developed the compact disc. By the way, do you know why compact discs were 74 minutes long? Audio compact discs? They did it because the inventor at Philips, uh, the CEO of Philips, wanted it to fit this exact performance of Mozart's, I forget which one, a particular symphony, and it was 73 minutes and 58 seconds long or something like that. So they made it 74 minutes so it could fit that whole symphony. That's why CDs were 74 minutes long at maximum. Eventually they expanded that. They got that to like 90 minutes, but not much longer. And then of course Blu-ray and and then digital transformation. Then you could download. And like, I mean, the evolution is amazing. You were born in 81. Okay. Your first music player was a Dukes of Hazzard record player. Oh man, that's right. Yeah, you just made me have flashbacks. I remember when I was like 6 or 7, I had a record player, and I had all my dad's records. Not my dad's records, because he was a recording artist. Some of you know who my dad was. Not his records, not his artist's records, but his records, like classical music and stuff like that. I just remember one time, for whatever reason, I don't know why my parents let me do. We were built different back then. We were let to roam freely as little 7 and 8 year olds around my town, and I would be just gone. Like, bye. Like, you had to go play outside, and that meant like the outside, like the world. Like, if your parents said go play outside, they meant the world. They didn't mean like out front on the lawn. They meant the whole fucking world. So we we went, like, I would just walk, you know, 5 hours across town, like 3 miles. Just I'd be in a totally different fucking place. And with a friend, we'd go, you find your friends, you figure out where everybody lives, and you come on, let's go. Yeah, that was the way I was. And in fact, by 8 years old, my mom would just give me like $20, and you'd parse it out, or $10, whatever it was, and you'd parse it out, and you'd figure out how to get on a bus for like an hour and 20 minutes, go to your favorite mall, which had an arcade, and then you'd put like the most thrilling thing in the world is when you could put $5. You had your parents gave you $5. It was amazing if you could get five. If you got 20, it was like you were rich. I mean, and there was one day where I had that 20, and you put it in the change machine to go play arcades. But even with $5, you would put it in, and the coins would go, and you're like, oh my God, that's so much play, to so much I can do. And you would grab that. So there I was 8 years old, getting a connection from bus to bus to bus, for an hour and a half ride to a mall that was probably, I think, it was about 40 miles away. And then I would, put the money in the machine, get those, and then I would just play Star Wars, the Vector one. You guys remember the Vector? That was one of my favorites. Eventually, we got games as good as like the beginning of what was, now it's probably evolved more, but Rampage, that was when we played. Or what was the one with the four sorcerers and all the wizards and stuff? Gauntlet. We would play Gauntlet, Rampage, Star Wars, Vector version. Of course, Pac-Man, Super Pac-Man. When that came out, that was like, whoa, and it was just too complicated, because like Pac-Man was, you can't beat Pac-Man. Anyway, you'd have your pocket would be full and heavy with all these coins, and and you wouldn't spend them too fast. You knew that. You just innately learned how to manage your own uh impulses, because you had to. Because why did you just take an hour and a half bus ride all the way to the mall to get, 20 coins, or 20, however many coins that was, to blow it all in 20 minutes? I mean, no one was really that, uh, R back then. You know what I'm talking about. Um, we figured shit out. So then, yeah, we would just walk around. First, when you finished playing a video games, anybody remember this? When you finished playing a video game, you then start to walk around. You walk around, you think, what should I play next? You wouldn't run to something and just blow it. You walk around. You take time. You put the time in. Yeah. Oh, he says it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? And that's true. I mean, we would show up, it would be after sunset, so it had to be 7, 8, or 9, sometimes 9:30. And that's some of the best time to go play hide and seek, is in the dark. Try and find me, bastards. And yeah. Came home every day. I mean, the only advice we got was never get in a van with anyone and don't take candy from strangers. That was it. And you know, most of us were lucky if we got the advice look both ways when you cross the street. We didn't even have that. That was it. I was raised by a hippie. Like it was like I was lucky if you know, we had a opinion on anything. I mean, they were so open-minded their brains fall out, right? So here I am. We had a really fun time. As Archie Bunker said, those were the days. Yes. All right. Well, okay. Let's get back to the market. Uh, QQQ. Fantastic. We are inching up. Now we'll have to see if that holds, but it's like I said, yesterday was a very important day. It matched some rules for high growth swing traders to be able to go on margin on allocating into positions. And that's today. Like it switched on yesterday towards the end of the day, and now today it's on. And that will remain on for at least a week, if not months. And so it just means like double the money is going to start flooding into the market. You can see the projected end of the day volume today is very strong. So regardless of how the price moves, volume and purchasing is potentially going to be happening, potentially. But it can get crapped out. It can untrigger. It takes a few days for it to untrigger. And that would be fine. Like we've got a lot of room here this election year for, a summer of consolidation if that's what it's gonna be. But I'm telling you, look at the mirror image here. November coming out of November and this one right here. They're really similar, virtually identical. Let's see if I can just draw that out, point that out to you guys. Talking about coming out of November here compared to coming out of April here. It's the same kind of situation with the lower highs, consolidation area, breaking through. Very similar, very similar. And in fact, this whole pullback wasn't even due to the market. It was back here. Here, it was not. It was due to global geopolitical tensions. Had nothing to do with PEs, economics, business, nothing. Zero. These 4 red days were unrelated to the market. So you can almost subtract them from what was going on and say that this move actually is more like that. Like this doesn't exist. This whole down move is not economic. It's not where we are in the business, in the pricings of these stocks, in the valuations, in the growth prospects, in the cycle of anything economic. This does not exist. This was an anomaly caused by geopolitical tensions. And we're back. We're moving. And back here, we did not have that. And look at that strong move we had. So imagine this move is coming out of the geopolitical tension area. We could easily push up a lot more right there and then consolidate just like we did here for a week or two. And then more. And then we slow down like this. And then it's November election time. We could be looking at something like that where we just peak right before the election. This is this one of the strongest election years on the market we've ever had. And when that happens, we typically have an incredibly strong election year market. In other words, there's two ways the markets tend to unfold in election years. One is consolidatory and crunch time and just waiting until who's going to be elected. Or two, let's go. And historically, when it's let's go, those are some of the best bullish years in election years historically. That could happen. But hey, it doesn't matter to me if we pull back and we consolidate for a while, or if we even drop a lot and if we even break down, that's all it's fine. I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. Okay, so egoless trading is how you're supposed to trade. You're wrong as quickly as you were right. It's not about being right or wrong. It's just about having ideas. If you lack ideas, you've got nothing. It's just about the ideas, and you just need to know what's going on. Because otherwise, what are you doing? You're looking at this and you're going, I don't know what the fuck. Like you're looking at it, going, I don't know what the fuck. Okay, well then just get out of here. You're never gonna be able to do something. You have to have a notion. It doesn't mean you're going to be right, but ideas come from the notions. You have to have a notion. So you have to figure that out. So you have to understand the market. You got to learn it all. The market. The market's so important. You have to learn the market to understand economics, the market, the cycles, the business, all of that. All right, look at this. This is very good. Uh, about half, probably that is half, maybe slightly more than half of our growth opportunities, which are a special elite hand screened list. They're not really hand screened, but it's a screened list from a criteria. Those are green from the open. I think it's either 50-50. They're about 50-50 green from the open. The best is up 7.3%, and that's First Solar from the open. That's a huge move. The worst is VFS, which is down 5.7%. That's less than how much First Solar is up. So we're compacting. Our downside is less and our upside is more in aggregate. Here, if we were to add up all the positives and add up all the negatives, it looks like positives would outweigh the negatives. So it's a very good day on the market and a very good outlook on the market. All right, we've got a couple minutes before 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. here. And to be able to look at if there's going to be some kind of a day trading opportunity for us. 974 shares. Well, I'm going to do that on my own because it's time to have some breakfast. 400 shares. But I do, possibly in the future, I will probably do some live day trading sessions for those of you who are interested. But like, for example, BNED is looking very strong, like it wants to break out. You can see that right here, but it's breakout is not on a pullback. So we still be waiting for some kind of consolidatory pullback entry on BNED. And same thing goes for MGOL. And I'd have to say AKTS does not look good. MGOL is maybe still in play, but BNED seems to be the stock of the day as far as the day trading goes. And then other VIPS, that's a new one for growth stocks that we could get spreads on. VIPS is on the list, but that does not look perfect. GL, no. Cart, Rivian, Legion, MBLY, CellH, Becky, LSC, CALB, Chewy. W, by the way, there was no on Chewy, which is Wayfair, Futu, Para, Futu. All right, so I'll let you. That's got earnings in a couple days, so we can't get into that. I'll let you know. What I find if I find anything, and I'll post it in the group. Have a good morning, everybody, and stay safe. Trade smarter. See you back in the group.